We got a customer that was told that she needs a new boiler by a home warranty company. Let's see what our thermostat is set to here. Heat is set to 69, so we're maintaining temperature right now. We can see that on the Nest. All right, so a home warranty company came out here repeatedly, told her that she was low on water pressure, and then eventually they couldn't figure it out, and they told her, you just need a new boiler. And they quoted her $15,000. We see this a lot. We see a lot where it seems like, I don't know, people just don't know how boilers work or something, and they just kind of conclude that she needs a new one. Here is the suspect in question. This is a Peerless boiler. I'll have to check on the age. I'll let you know on that. Maybe I can post it on there somewhere, but it does look old, but it's not the original. We can see up here, we have copper lines tying into the old system. So this, I actually made a video on a boiler that used this before. These pipes here, the big one, big diameter, they were used in the boilers that didn't have circulation pumps. They would just circulate just by the nature of hot water and cold water trying to join each other or whatever. So, you know, this was replaced. I would guess this unit is somewhere between 20 and 30 years old, but we will see how that goes. I've already been here a couple times. I came here initially and the heat was not working like she had said. I think it was 65 degrees, and I did notice that we had no water pressure at the time. I have since filled that up, and we can see our water pressure is close to, let's see if you can see that, it is close to 0. So we are losing water pressure, and our culprit is a T&P valve, which is right there. So we're going to talk about why that's leaking, what that means, and then a few other things we're going to replace in this unit. She's trying to sell the place, so we're trying to save her a little money, get this thing tuned up, and then ready for the next people. So, okay, so I already did the diagnostic on this unit a few days ago. I wanted to film it, but it was like 11 p.m. and I just did not have the motivation for it. So, like I said, the first day I came here, it was low on water pressure. If a boiler is low on water pressure, it cannot transfer heat through the water piping up to wherever it needs to go. You know, when this thing, it's not just full of air, it still has water, but it needs the pressure. And usually a boiler needs to be kind of between 10 and 20 psi. That's based on head pressure, and you can look online for the calculation of that. But since we're at a 2-story home, we're gonna say closer to like 15 to 20. So this is a T&P valve. T&P valve, it stands for temperature and pressure. This valve is set to pop off when it exceeds 30 psi. The most common reason that a boiler's T&P valve pops is because of this guy right here. This is our expansion tank. On a newer system, the expansion tank is about the size of a basketball. On this kind of system, it's a pretty big unit. The little ones have a little diaphragm in them where they separate the water and the air, and that diaphragm is a cushion for when the water expands in this. The boiler, I mean, think of it as a pot of water that's heating up. As it heats up, the water expands, and when it expands, it increases pressure. The expansion valve prevents that increase of pressure. So this unit, I believe the operating set point is 180 degree Fahrenheit. When it reaches 180 degree Fahrenheit, if we have the water set to 15 psi, it will remain at 15 psi or very close to that throughout the operation of the unit. If the expansion tank above is not working properly, we'll see huge pressure fluctuations. We'll see it start at 15 and then it'll jump all the way to like 50 or something. On an expansion tank, like the little basketball-sized ones, you can actually take a wrench and tap on the sides and kind of see where the air is versus the water. On a unit like this, we can tell just by, you know, I should be able to take just fingers, not whole hand or 2 hands, and I should be able to push this thing up if it's full of just air. This particular unit right now is full of water. We could probably tap on it and identify that as well. So what we're going to do is drain this guy out, and then we're going to replace a T&P valve. Now we've already identified this is the main issue. But anytime this T&P valve is exercised regularly, where it's running a lot, I always recommend just replacing it because, you know, if it got fatigued or whatever, we don't want that to be an issue down the road. So we're going to drain this guy out, we're going to replace that, and then we're going to go from there. Step number one of the draining process is going to be hooking up a hose to a valve down below. This particular unit has a valve down here, and we're also going to want to isolate any water items that we can that we're not draining out. So like this is a water line, this is the main hot water coming out of the boiler. We're going to shut that off because we don't need to be draining out all of our radiators. The more we drain out, the more we have to bleed in later. And then we also have a return valve down there that I'm going to isolate off too. So then it really should just be the boiler and the expansion tank that we're addressing. All right, so we're isolated off. We can see that one shut as well. We're hooked up down here. On that little valve, we're gonna open that now and it's gonna start draining this boiler. And we do have the boiler turned off too, so we're opening that. Now we're gonna open a valve up top. See, I've opened that, we can hear it, but it's air that's going in there. It's not water coming out. And we can hear the tank gurgling as well. Hear that? We should get one, there we go. And now we're getting boiler water out of the unit down our drain here. All right, we're gonna open up the valve a little bit more just so we can expedite the process here. So the air is basically going in, up in the tank, water's going down. So we're still draining the unit. You can hear it gurgling. It's a slow process because the water is kind of coming down and simultaneously the air is trying to go up. There really should be a better way of doing that. There should be a bleeder valve on this or something, but we're gonna let that thing cook for a while and we're gonna work on the next issue. The next thing we're gonna be working on is the system of filling up the boiler. So this is, we can see here, this is the initial valve going into the boiler system. Then we have a backflow preventer, which is appropriate. We want good water coming into the boiler. We don't want yucky boiler water going into our drinking supply. And then it cuts across, it hits this valve, and then it goes down to the boiler system. The problem is when you open this valve, in the event that you're gonna fill it, and you'll see here, it starts venting out the bottom. Now, oh, is it not gonna do it for me this time? You can see the big puddle. It's been leaking quite a bit, and it's not supposed to be doing that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this guy. We're just gonna straight pipe this, and then we're gonna put a boiler autofill over here. I like to be able to use the autofill and see the gauge. So that black round gauge there is what we read boiler pressure on. And we wanna be able to manipulate the autofill and look at the gauge simultaneously. So we'll put the autofill somewhere over here. So I'm going to get a few tools and then we will begin to do that process. All right, now we have our new autofill system set up. We have our backflow preventer here. This was the old one right here. And then here's the actual autofill itself. So now I am working on, this is where the T&P valve was. And I removed that. That's this guy right here. And here's our new one. Same deal, female 3/4 inch on the bottom. Life is good. So we're just gonna put some tape and dope on there. Put that guy on. Put his drop pipe on and go from there. Okay, so in order to remove this, I had to remove the drop pipe. I actually had to cut it because I can't just turn it off when it's 4 foot long. But this guy's gonna go on here, and then I'm gonna attach the bottom piece on there as well. The reason that we put this on is because if this T&P valve pops, if this valve pops, it's gonna be releasing like 190 degree, 200 degree water, and we don't want that shooting us in the face. So per code, you're supposed to bring it down to the ground, terminate it within 6 inches of the ground. We're just gonna put the old one on, which is gonna be a little bit high, but you know, it still adheres to the spirit of the code, I guess. So, and when we're putting this on, I usually don't even dope these up, dope and tape them, just because there is no like water pressure on this pipe. It's just simply like a water slide going down to the ground. So there's not really a concern of it leaking per se. Okay, we're at a point, I'm sorry this is loud, I can shut this off. We're at a point with our expansion tank that if we stopped here, it'd be a far improvement from what she had. You can see I can wiggle that thing now, it's super light. So we're still gonna let it drain out because I have one more thing I have to do on this project anyways, but we're making a lot of progress on this guy, so I'm pretty happy about that. And it's taken a while. I mean, we've probably been here for a good hour, hour and a half already. So, all right, the last project we have is what's called the Aquastat. That's this guy right here. So this is like the brains of the boiler. So these boilers, they haven't changed much in shape and stuff. This is just like the old boilers that had no electronics to them, but then they started adding a few safety features. They added pumps, all that kind of stuff that needs electricity. So they needed a brain for it. So all they did was just drill a hole into the thing so that there's a port where this accesses the water temperature, and then this tells it what to do. So when the thermostat activates and calls for heat, it sends a signal to this. This verifies the pressure or the temperature inside the boiler, and if the temperature inside the boiler is low, then it'll start actuating this is the exhaust damper right here. So it'll open that guy up, and then it'll turn on the ignition and then turn on the gas and all that. So this is kind of the brains of the unit. When I was here the first time, I witnessed the boiler briefly shut off. And I don't know, you know, that's usually not conclusive enough to say that this guy, the Aquastat, is bad. However, they're selling the house. They want something they want to repair that's, you know, durable and will last a while. So, you know, when that thing intermittently cut out on me the first time, I grew suspicious of it. I took the cover off, I touched the relay. When it cut out on me initially, I just touched this little relay guy. He's not powered right now, so it's not doing anything. But as soon as I pressed it, everything turned back on. So, you know, I'm not saying that it's bad, but I think it's a good idea to replace it, because then we know we're good. So that's the next step. We're going to replace that guy, and then after that, I think the expansion tank will be happy, and we can go from there. I have the old unit removed. I just wanted to show people there's a little screw at the bottom right here, and as you screw it, it loosens that up. That little chomper right there bites onto this groove up here. So when you're trying to remove these, just unscrew that guy and then that'll come out. Here's your temperature probe. You can see your temperature probe. Now, one of the things is this guy doesn't have any lube on it. So when you get these guys out of the package, they have silver lube. And we do want to put that on there. It's kind of this conductive thing for them. So I think this unit was put on semi-recently, within the last 5 years, and whoever put it on, they didn't lube it up. So shame on them. But anyways, I got this thing out. Of course, you know, I got like 6 inches of room to work here, but with this unit off, now I can just remove each wire at a time and put it on the new unit. So we're gonna do that to make life nicer. All right, we finally got the stupid thing wired up. Now we got our little lube baggie. We're going to attempt to do this without touching it, which is never going to happen, but the second I touch it, I get it everywhere. There we go. Look at that. Now we're just going to stick her in that hole that we got the last one and clamp her down. All right, so in the process of me struggling with that Aquastat, the expansion tank finished up, so that's good. And now we're ready to fill her up. So we have our autofill already set up. We just need to valve water onto it. All right, so I'm turning water on to the autofill. And we're gonna hear it. It's gonna run for a good little bit because this whole thing is empty right now. But we'll let that go and then we will drain it at the top. So we're currently filling with water. We're currently filling with water and we're gonna use the same valve to release the air because we wanna make sure that there's no air in the heat exchanger. So I'm just going to open this guy, and we're hearing it hiss, and we're just going to wait until we get water out of that. But yeah, this guy is totally movable right now. And we'll just give it another second. Okay. I'm happy with it. Now there's going to be some water up top, but not a lot. Okay, so now that we're done with that part of it, we are going to open up our valves, go into the rest of the house. I have to do the one on the other side too, and then we'll have to purge all of our lines. We can see here, there's our water pressure right there at the bottom. So we're under 20, and we're going to turn the boiler on just to get the heat going. Now it might take a minute for that boiler to kick on. This has a Honeywell Nest. Oh, I stand corrected. Water's running. I'll see if we can see the ignition cycle underneath this. That is cool. Should be cooking. All right, so we're filled up. We're hovering just below 20, which we're happy about. Now we're gonna purge each radiator. Different radiators have different methods of purging, but this particular one has these nipples on it, and they have a square key. You see square. And all we're gonna do is stick that in there, turn it open, and see we have water gushing out, so we know there's no air. See that? And we're going to go to each one and we're going to try to work from lowest to highest. And I'm probably not going to show you that whole process. Whenever you're doing the purging process, you're going to want some sort of a cup or a bucket or something because they squirt water everywhere. So, and realistically, if you purge the thing, it's nice to go back and purge it again in another few days. This guy, the water's probably going to shoot right out from there. Whoop. So we can hear there is some air in there. Whoop, and there's the water. So in summary, even though the competition tried to sell our boiler, it seems like we got the thing resolved. That is a cast iron boiler. In general, we don't charge 15 grand for those. They may have been quoting her a high efficiency unit, I guess, with that, which is fine. But a typical, you know, if you're just swapping out cast iron boilers, we're rated about like 5,500 bucks. So the units aren't that expensive. So don't let anybody tell you it's going to be 15 grand. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and we'll talk to you later.